I have often thought that becoming independent and in control of my life is one of the biggest goals I should strive for. As I've started thinking on my own, come up with my own ideas, as I got my own possessions, I thought the aim is to be the subject of your life. But I've come to think that maybe dependency or dependence isn't such a bad idea. Of course, being needy and relying on others simply to survive might not be the best thing. But if I think of dependency as trusting in the help of others, or trusting in others to strengthen me and to keep me going, then maybe dependency isn't quite such a bad thing. And where I noticed this is especially in my discussions on this podcast with Pirya, that you can get so lost in your own thoughts and concentrate on the problems that you see in the world that you actually are only focusing on yourself. You're not actually looking outside and seeing what's really happening around you. There are other voices saying important things, but when I don't listen to them, my words become empty. So once I do actually look beyond myself, I see that I have family and friends, I have colleagues and random people that I meet every day who can actually teach me a lot. I see then that my life does depend on others. And I think in a similar way, our life of faith depends on others. I think especially today, we often hear that we can make our own subjective interpretations of biblical stories, of beliefs about God, about dogma, and so on. And I've actually gained a lot from being subjective and being creative and having my own ideas. But I've also realized that faith isn't always just your own thing. Faith isn't something that only I decide to do. I think in a profound way, faith is actually something that we pass on to one another. It's not that our faith only depends on other people, but that my faith and your faith is connected to other people's faith. Or in other words, religion, or the Christian faith at least, is practiced in community. It's something, or faith is something that we participate in together. It's not something that you only do individually. And even though I have often tried to think that I should be independent and have my own opinions and my own thoughts, I think sometimes it does actually help just to listen to others, to actually be strengthened by others, either in church, meeting other people, or by listening to a sermon, or by listening to music and realizing that somehow this music played by a choir or an orchestra or a worship band is a beauty that everyone, or something beautiful that connects us all. So I also think that our faith, but also our life and our identity, doesn't just depend on me and myself. There is actually a foundation that we stand on. There is a community of people that we can rely on in church or in other spaces. But most importantly, there is a God who isn't just someone up in heaven, but who is actually our true foundation, who is the true source of life. And also, to think that I have to go through life on my own is quite a sad thought if I think about it now. And that I have to somehow figure everything out on my own seems a little bit meaningless. So I actually think we can figure out things together. And that's also one of the aims of our podcast here, is to figure things out together. And knowing that we don't always have exactly the right ideas or the right way of thinking or even the right beliefs, but that's why we exchange thoughts and keep going and keep learning from one another. So I also hope you can go to those spaces and trust in other people, and eventually, of course, trust in the foundation that is Jesus Christ.